Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, boxing, boxing. Now, my boy Gervanta Tank Davis, man, big dog, man, one of the biggest stars in boxing at the lower weight class. The guy hovers between 130, 135, and 140. One of his most spectacular wins was the Mario Barrios fight when he went up two weight classes to fight Mario Barrios and TKO victory in the 11th round, man. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis, man, amazing fighter. Basically, all wins by knockout. 25 wins, 24 by knockout. The guy is still at the tender age of 27 years old, and he's doing big things in the sport of boxing. He's watching one of Mexico's all-time greats. In my opinion, I think he surpassed Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Canelo Alvarez, man. He just watched him become undisputed by beating Caleb Plant and having all the titles at 168. That being said, man, after Gervonta Tank Davis witnessed history being made by Canelo being the first 168 champion of all time, undisputed champion of all time, Gervonta Tank Davis said, and I quote, "Canelo is me at 168. Facts." That's my boy Gervonta Tank Davis, man, talking like the Black Mamba, man. He's saying that he is the Black Mexican. He is Canelo Alvarez. He is the next big thing. And you know what? I'm gonna have to agree. People like to trash Gervonta Tank Davis's resume, but his resume is immense for only being 27 years old. Understand that the fighters at his weight class, it's not like Canelo's weight class. How most of the fighters, for the most part, weren't fighting each other. Canelo Alvarez, before he went to 168, the most Canelo has accomplished as far as accolades was beating guys and only getting 2 of the 4 titles. At 154, the most he accomplished at that division was having 2 of the 4 titles when he beat Austin Trout. He had the WBC title and a WBA title, right? The 2 world champion titles, right? And then he lost that to Floyd Mayweather. Then he went to 160, and after he beat Triple G, he had the WBA title and WBC middleweight title. But he never got any more than 2 titles between the 154 and 160 division at the same time. That being said, when he ventured up to 168, that's the division he got all 4 titles, i.e. making him, undisputed. That being said, man, Gervonta Tank Davis, man, he was a champion. His first belt was against Jose Pedraza, and that was a big fight for him. Jose Pedraza was a superstar, and he completely dominated him. Guy barely made it past 7 rounds, and then he won the IBF title, Francisco Francesca, and he would have had 2 of the 4 titles, but he missed weight in that fight. But Gervonta still dominated that fight as well. So hypothetically, Gervonta had 2 of the 4 titles at 130 before he started fighting bigger and stronger guys by going up in weight. The fighters at and around Gervonta Tank Davis's weight class, like Josh Taylor, he is undisputed. Canelo Alvarez has never fought an undisputed champion. Gervonta Tank Davis has an opportunity to fight an undisputed champion if Josh Taylor gave him the opportunity. Teofimo Lopez is one belt short of being undisputed. And like I said earlier, Canelo Alvarez fought guys with titles before, 2 titles, but Teofimo Lopez is more accomplished by having 3 world championship titles in his weight class. He's 1 belt short of the Devin the Dream Haney fight and getting that 4th title. Either way, whoever wins that fight, they will become an undisputed champion between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. Think about it. There's 2 undisputed champions, possibly that was already one at 140 in Josh Taylor, and there's one that's going to be made soon between Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. That being said, Gervonta Tank Davis's competition is much more advanced and accomplished than Canelo Alvarez's. It's just facts. Accolades wise, getting belts here and there is great for fighters, but becoming the best in your division, and that we know you're the best in the division and everyone's fighting everyone, that means more in boxing. So that being said, man, Gervonta Tank Davis, he's just taking out whoever really gets the offer. You know, whoever's giving him an offer or whoever wants to challenge, he'll take it. You know, the only man I ever seen float between 3 weight classes. And understand, when he beat Mario Barrios at that 140 title, he still had belts at 140. I mean, at 130, three weight classes down. So that shows you the elite level of Gervonta Tank Davis, going up 2 weight classes, dominating bigger fighters, because these fighters are basically not giving them opportunity and they're shook. So the Black Mamba, Gervonta Tank Davis, man, you know, he's doing big things in boxing. The competition is fierce. Basically, 2 of the 3 champions are going to be undisputed. One's already undisputed. The Devin Haney versus Teofimo Lopez fight is happening soon. Therefore, Gervonta Tank Davis's competition is much more fierce than Canelo Alvarez, just based off accomplishments as far as being undisputed. You know, Floyd Mayweather, while he's a phenomenal fighter, you know, and I think he's better than Canelo because he beat Canelo, he never became undisputed. After he beat Manny Pacquiao, he is 1 belt shy of becoming undisputed at 147. By if he did beat Kell Brook, he could have became undisputed, but he didn't. And that was a big mistake on Floyd Mayweather's part. He should have just beat Kell Brook to get that undisputed, accolade on his record. But he didn't do it, man. And maybe in the future that might come back to hunt him. But the truth of the matter is, he beat Canelo Alvarez, you know. So all that being said, man, Gervonta is making big waves in the sport of boxing. The division is fierce. These fighters are fighting each other in tournament-style fights. Understand, when Josh Taylor became undisputed, he did it in a tournament style, a Mortal Kombat style, where people could not duck each other, where everyone had to fight everyone, and all the champions were basically in the tournament, you know. So, you know, this is a big challenge to the world by Gervonta Tank Davis saying, I'm the 168 Canelo right now. I'm fighting the big dogs. I'm the most accomplished. I'm fighting these Hall of Fame type fighters. I mean, once you become undisputed, you're basically a Hall of Fame fighter automatically. So Josh Taylor at this point of his career is a Hall of Fame fighter. Whoever wins this Teofimo Lopez versus Danny Haney fight, whoever becomes undisputed, Hall of Fame fighter. You know, a lot of people these days don't really give credit to these younger fighters by putting them in the Hall of Fame. But becoming undisputed is a Hall of Fame feat for sure. So boxing is on fire, man. Everyone's fighting everyone, and a lot of people keep talking about how these fights are happening, but it is, man. It is. And you know, Gervonta Tank Davis can always go back down to 130 and fight someone like Oscar Valdez as well, and maybe finish business down there at 130 before he does everything else. Or he can just float between divisions. Living in Vegas, it's easier to lose weight. You know, he's training with Floyd Money Mayweather. He can put this guy on a diet. You know, he can do his homework and, you know, keep discipline and stay around those 3 divisions. Whoever wants to give him the chance, the opportunity, he'll take it. You know, I think that's what's best for Gervonta Tank Davis, instead of sitting on a shelf waiting for guys. And this is what boxing is all about. I had never seen anything like it in my lifetime, where I see guys dominating a division 2 weight classes beneath him, and then fighting guys 2 weight classes up, and for hoots and hollers. Gervonta Tank Davis is the biggest star at 130, 135, and 140, in my opinion, even bigger than Josh Taylor, because Josh Taylor is a great fighter, but he's not making an example out of guys at 154. He's just not doing things like that. You know, he's not doing things like that. Now, Josh Taylor is a great fighter. I'm not trashing that guy. I think he's a Hall of Fame fighter. But the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis is doing something like that, and people still don't give him credit, is mind-boggling stuff. Josh Taylor, a great fighter, venture up to 154 and start fighting guys like Jarrett Hurd, beat Jarrett Hurd, beat Laura, and then just float around, just do it. And then we'll give you credit like Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, obviously, Josh Taylor, accomplishment-wise, on paper, seems better than Gervonta Tank Davis, but the going up 2 weight classes just for hoots and hollers and beating top guys is a feat for sure, a big feat. So, I do agree that Gervonta Tank Davis is Canelo 168, but I'd say that, Gervonta Tank Davis is more accomplished. His opponents are more accomplished. The fights that can happen for Gervonta Tank Davis are much more accomplished, and they're a lot more younger too. These guys, everyone I mentioned, are in their 20s. These aren't old fighters. Canelo Alvarez fought a lot of old fighters in his career. later in his career. Gervonta Tank Davis, you know, Devin Haney is in his 20s. You know, Teofimo Lopez is in his 20s. You know, all these fighters are relatively young, you know. So all that being said, man, this is a really big deal. Teofimo Lopez only being 24. I mean, I can go on down the list how young these top fighters are, and they're getting it popping, man. They're not ducking each other. They're not saying I'm gonna wait 4 years. Devin Haney's only 22. You know what I mean? Ryan Garcia, you know, he's like what? I think he's like 21, 23. I mean, come on, man. These guys are young, you know, young prime fighters who are getting it popping, fighting each other and fighting pound for pound legends. Like, you know, when Teofimo Lopez fought Vasily Lomachenko, you know, and you know, so that's a really big deal, you know. Anyway, I thought I'd talk about it, man. Gervonta Tank Davis, the Mexican Canelo at 168, and I agree, man. The competition is fierce, and he's making sure that people know who he is, and he's that big dog, and he will venture outside weight classes to prove that not only am I the best in my weight class, but I'll fight whoever wants to fight, and I'll go up 2 weight classes to prove it. Big things from Gervonta, big dog stuff. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. GeoBasket Empire. Peace. GeoBasket Empire. Peace.